A new election is finally called for the 9th Congressional District.
And a school shooting plot is foiled in Greensboro. I'm Emmy Shalua.
And I'm Abigail Brown. Those stories and more coming up on Carolina News Today. And we're without teleprompters today, so bear with us. Voters in our region need to be on the lookout for a new election in the 9th Congressional District. The State Board of Elections voted unanimously this week to order the new race, which is likely to include new primaries. The controversial winner, Republican Mark Harris, says he won't run again due to health issues. Freelance electioneer McCrae Dallas has been arrested, and after the order for a new election, challenger Dan McCready said it was a great day for democracy in North Carolina.
We saw cover-ups of evidence that was not being submitted to the board under subpoena. We saw leaked early voting information from the local board of elections to their campaign. But more than anything, we saw actual systematic criminal activity where my opponent's campaign hired people to go to voters' houses and take their ballots, sometimes fill in choices for other candidates. It appears that they threw ballots in the trash. You know, there's nothing more sacred in our country than your right to vote. To see in this era of hyper-partisanship, where it seems like Republicans and Democrats can't agree on anything, to see a 5-0 decision by the State Board of Elections, 3 Democrats join with 2 Republicans, all to come together and say, this kind of corruption won't stand. This actual stealing of votes, this election fraud won't stand in North Carolina. It's a big victory for democracy.
African attire and textiles were on display in a special Black History Month event Tuesday in the Livermore Library. CNT reporter Alexis Clinton got to check out the beautiful garb.
The Office of Diversity and Inclusion hosted an African regalia night in the library. Students and faculty wore some of their favorite items from countries in Africa. People could learn about where to wear clothing items and the meaning behind certain colors. The host of the night explains why he believes this should be a lifestyle.
It can't be just an event. Like, it can't stop here. Because even I was an ASO president when I was in college. I went to UNC Charlotte. I was the ASO president and the dance coordinator. What I figured out while my time there is that people do not care about stuff long enough. They care about stuff as long as you show it to them. So I feel like if we live that life and they see it all the time, it'll normalize it.
The night ended with food, and one life coach tells us the importance of this event.
I would like to encourage all people to seek and search out their origin and be proud of where they come from, because when you have a good, strong sense of who you are, you can better interact with other people who are different from you.
UNCP's Office for Global Engagement is plugging spring and summer travel opportunities, including class trips overseas known as faculty-led study abroad. The new Assistant Vice Chancellor in that office, Dr. Kathy Lee Aquino, was in the TV studio last week to talk about why students should go global.
It's such a transformative experience. The same thing that I would say to other faculty and staff, but just to know if you're a student interested in study abroad, we are here to help you. All of us have been abroad ourselves, and we know what it's like to feel alone, to feel scared, and that we want to help you through that process. And we can put you in touch with other students who have studied abroad so that you can learn and know that you aren't the only one that had those thoughts, but look at how they felt after that experience.
For spring break, some students are going to Prague. In Maymester, students in Mass Comm are going to London. And in the summer, some students are headed to Costa Rica.
Bennett College in Greensboro is going to court to try to keep its accreditation. The school lost accreditation last week, even though it raised $9 million. And even though the school is appealing, one student is casting the blame on the school's chief financial officer. She started a petition detailing what she says went wrong and what ought to happen.
the energy here, the sisterhood, you don't find it anywhere else.
Bennett College sits on decades of history. It's one of the only 2 historically black institutions for women, and the school's history means a lot to the past, present, and future Bells.
As a Bennett student, a graduating senior, I've been here all 4 years. Never once thought about transferring.
But recently, some students have been willing to give up that history because of the recent accreditation battle.
I know for a fact God chose this institution for me, which is why I had to stand up and say something.
Senior Alexis Branch, who also serves as the school's SGA president, showed her concern with this petition. It blames Bennett's vice president of finances for not keeping the financial status of the school afloat.
He also announced to the student body that he was using funds that he was counting as unrestricted funds. They were not unrestricted funds. Sachs counted them as restricted funds. He should have known the policy as our financial expert at our school and know that those funds could not be used as unrestricted dollars.
Alexis says those funds were mismanaged.
Because he did use those funds as unrestricted dollars, our numbers were off. And it caused us to be chasing a goal of $5 million when we should have been chasing a goal of a little over $8 million.
Reed reached out to the school, and a spokesperson tells Fox 8 they're aware of the online petition and conducting an investigation into the claims. But Alexis says the only answer to this problem is holding the VP of Finances accountable and getting him removed from the school.
I think that he's been putting money into accounts that to show the public, the accrediting body, or even just the students and alums that we are stable, when in reality we were not stable.
A North Carolina deputy has received a Purple Heart Medal after surviving a severe gunshot injury on duty last year. Corporal Eric Cook was given the award on his first day back at work in Lillington Monday.
Corporal Eric Cook beat the odds. Literally, he's back at work tonight full duty after surviving gunshots to the face.
First and foremost, thank God for protecting me on that day. It's because of him that I am able to stand before you and speak to you today.
Investigators say Cook was checking on a missing persons case when 16-year-old Mario Alexander Garza shot him with his parents' .45.
I told Eric, I said, at some point you've got to forgive him. He said, Mama, I already have.
Since that encounter, Cook has had a number of surgeries for the broken jaw and skull bones.
I think the first actual solid meal was probably a cheeseburger from Wendy's. a junior cheeseburger, because that's the only thing I could fit in my mouth at the time, because I couldn't open my mouth wide enough.
But for his bravery in service, Cook awarded the law enforcement Purple Heart Pin, but the greatest reward of all, life and lessons.
Be more aware. Something that we're all taught is complacency will get you hurt. And that's something that new and upcoming officers need to realize it, and old veterans need to realize it.
A federal jury has indicted a man who reportedly showed up at a school with a list of people he wanted to kill. Police say Steve Spence was armed when he came to the high school in Greensboro, but officials stopped him.
Back in December, Greensboro police say 29-year-old Spence drove from Virginia to Smith High School. In court documents, it says that Spence made it all the way to the cafeteria with 2 loaded guns, muttering he came to kill 2 people, with whom police say he had a personal relationship with. Thankfully, he was taken down by a school resource officer and no one was hurt. Today, U.S. Attorney Matt Martin announced 3 federal charges, 1 for crossing state lines in a stolen car, 1 for crossing state lines with intent to, quote, kill, injure, harass, and intimidate, and because of the travel, did attempt to commit a crime. And finally, because of and during the second count, the suspect allegedly brandished firearms. Martin, standing with Greensboro Police Chief Wayne Scott, spoke on what these charges mean going forward.
I want there to be no doubt from this indictment that we will not tolerate people crossing state lines to hunt down former intimate partners. We will prosecute crimes of that nature to the fullest extent of the law.
Ask anyone who has ever tried to break a bad habit, and they'll tell you it's easier said than done. But that doesn't have to be the case.
Whether it's giving up smoking or junk food, there's at least one bad habit that most people would love to break, or at least have made countless attempts to break. Because habits can influence our behavior, they can be leveraged for positive change, but they can also hold back progress. A great rule of thumb, however, is to replace a bad habit with a better one. And one is often the inverse of the other, which can work in your favor, like eating clean is eating less junk and working out is being less sedentary. If you're wondering how long it takes to convert a bad habit into a good one, according to researchers from University College of London, on average, it takes a little over 2 months, and in some cases, even longer. So hang in there, and if you're worried about falling off the wagon, be mindful of what triggers those bad habits. You don't want to sabotage all your hard work.
Men's basketball hits triple digits.
And 2 teams are headed to their national championships.
Ty the Sports Guy tells you what's up in Braves Athletics next.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
We're doing it.
I'm testing for HIV.
Knowing your HIV status allows you to stay healthy.
I do it for my sisters.
To stay strong.
For your partner.
I care for my community.
I do it to lead by example.
We do it for love.
And now it's your turn to get tested for HIV.
It's fast, it's free, and it's confidential.
Make HIV testing a part of your routine.
Visit cdc.gov/doing it.
I'm doing it. Are you?
Hey, Bobo. Do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Every year, airmen face overwhelming challenges. Fortunately, our airmen are resilient and help is available. Last year, 37,000 airmen had the courage to get help for themselves and others when they needed it.
Because I had the courage.
Because I had the courage.
Because I had the courage to get help, I was able to help others.
Because I had the courage to get help, I was the first in my family to get a college degree.
Because I had the courage to get help, I married the love of my life. And I got to meet the second love of my life.
Because I had the courage to get help, I was able to see my son grow up.
And because I had the courage to get help, another airman had the courage to get help. Care, connect, cope. And for all of those that you love and who love you, be there.
Welcome back, Brave Nation, to another week of sports. I'm Ty the Sports Guy, and do I have some exciting news about some of our sports teams. Let's start with women's basketball, who had their senior night Saturday against Clayton State University. The Braves struggled again in the scoring aspect in their third straight game, and the coach isn't happy with what he sees from the team. Loose ball occurs, and both teams fight for the ball, but Clayton receives it at the other end and gets a tough back down jumper to fall. Then a pair of free throws for Clayton as they increased their lead. Braves were able to get some shots to fall, but it wasn't enough as they fall short to Clayton State 59-47. Men's basketball went up against Clayton State as well, and they also had their senior night for James Murray Boyles, who had this highlight full court pass to Cam Hamilton, who tipped it to Akia Pruitt for the last second layup to end the first half. In the second, Javian Hicks finishes the easy layup. David Strother knocks down a couple of free throws. Then, Jamal Bryant is able to break free, but kicks it to Cam Hamilton in the corner, who sidesteps and drains the three-pointer. Strother, who had 22 points, nails the three-pointer as well, and the Braves fans are